On 23rd January, a couple of days ago, MK Stalin, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, released a report. The report was titled The Antiquity of Iron, Recent Radiometric Dates from Sites in Tamil Nadu. This report contains various dates, a series of dates taken from multiple sites in Tamil Nadu, which gives a very early date for iron in not just Tamil Nadu, but in India and also globally. He said that the beginning of Iron Age was on Tamil soil, and he also said that the iron smelting activity and manufacturing of iron tools sort of goes back to 4th millennium BCE, a period contemporary to Bronze Age. Besides, keeping aside, apart from the political theatrics, keeping all of this aside, the divided perspective of people on the political grounds, it's very important when we are talking about archaeological data to look at it from the lens of archaeology and also to look at it without dismissing it immediately. In this case, however, we cannot dismiss these early dates because there are series of dates. How early are we going to keep Iron Age is still a question which even the investigators of the report said that this is the beginning. There's more work needs to be done. So it's not just my way, my point of view, but even the investigators are of the opinion that this is just the beginning of the work. What this report actually says and how the dates have come up, what are the contexts of the dates, the and what's the archaeology of various sites. It's very important to look at this report with an open mind and with academic vigor. So in this video, we will be going through important key findings from the report and then the insight and how we sort of can interpret these early dates and what work needs to be done and how it changes and how significant this piece of evidence is for India and Indian archaeology. Hello, my name is Dishalu Walia. I'm an archaeologist and I write regularly on archaeology for ThePrint. So as I've mentioned, it's these findings are certainly significant for Indian archaeology. It really changes a lot of narratives, a lot of perspectives, and creates a new platform for the future archaeologists to work on. And also, it it's a new era for Indian archaeology, certainly, and it's been happening over one decade, where fascinating discoveries from not just Tamil Nadu but in different parts of the country really pushing us, making us to look beyond a certain set narrative. Now, when we talk about Iron Age, it's very important to look at first understand why what is this controversy and the confusion around Iron Age and why have we not able to have a proper date for iron. This goes back to when archaeological investigations has just started and post the discovery of the Bronze Age. It was always assumed because the earliest date in global context of iron comes from Anatolia. It was always assumed that if that date is about 1300, 1400, naturally, as most of the early theories been, if the Western dates are days from of places outside the subcontinent are at a certain level. Naturally, it's been thought that in India and in South Asia also the dates are going to be later than that. So when 1300 was 1400 is the date for iron in Turkey, it was always considered in historical context and archaeological context. It was believed that iron would be post 1300. After the discovery of painted graveware along with Iron Age got a new platform and also a date which was put about 1100 to 1000 BCE. Now that was a norm till early 2000s. In early 2000s, excavation at Malhar, Dadopul, Rajanal Katila, work done by Dr. Rakesh Tiwari and his team. They published paper in Antiquity, a peer-reviewed journal, Antiquity, and in that paper they have given the date of iron in the subcontinent, putting it at 1800 BCE. So that was 800 years prior to what it was considered long back. So, anyways, by 20 early 2000s, the date was being pushed to 1800. It took a long time for many archaeologists to believe or to take take these dates into consideration. What is fascinating that our school books have not changed at all since. But in academia, we did start to take Iron Age, very early date of Iron Age, about 1800, into consideration. Subsequently, there have been many sites post that and before the recent announcement. There were sites like Adam Gulfkaral, then you have Musky, then you have Vatkal, other sites also who started to give early dates about ranging from 1600 to 1800, which was slowly going towards this earlier, this new narrative where iron in India could go a little earlier. There was also reservation amongst not just academics, archaeologists, but also general people. They think I often hear people talk about that iron requires higher temperature. It's a known fact that about 1300 degrees Celsius is needed to smelt iron, and that requires a specialized metallurgical skill which can only come with a time period, which can only come a certain time period. Now, these evidences that we have today sitting in 2025, including from Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, are telling you that this is not the case. What we have been thinking or taught earlier is sort of is now does not hold any ground. Things are changing. A couple of years ago, in 2022, Pare is a site, pardon my pronunciation, site in Tamil Nadu where the date of 2175 BCE was the earliest date taken from a sample from 140 centimeter at that site, yielded this particular date. Along with that, in another site in Andhra Pradesh, worked by Dr. K.P. Rao, Gachibowli also gave a similar date about 2275. Many of us looked at these sites with skepticism. It was difficult sort of to understand how could Iron Age be that early in India, or in different parts of in a very distinct part of India. Away from the Bronze Age zone. So these dates been started in 20 years. Many dates have come up. So it's no surprise in academia that we will have a little earlier than a date than the preconceived notion. What is fascinating in this report? So now let's go to the report. There are 5 sites, including Mayiladumparai site in Tamil Nadu. Including that, there are 5 sites. Key site is Shivagalai. So in these 5 sites, there are range of dates. Not all dates are early, not all dates are later, but they are certainly. Let's just keep a benchmark of 1800 of Iron Age so far, and then you will see that there are range of date. The first site which actually led to such kind of work, according to the investigators who co-authored the report, who contributed to the report, according to them, it was Mangadu. It was where iron sword was obtained from a cyst burial. Here, the date sort of goes to about 1604 to 1416. A mean value of this is 1510 BCE, right? This sort of, because earlier it was also been considered that Iron Age in southern India is a little later. Iron Age in general is going to be 1000, in southern India as well. It's going to be about 1000, and after 1000. So getting a 1600 date, which is about 16 to 1400, was, according to the investigators, was interesting to find a 600-year leap in the radio carbon dates at the site. Following which, multiple sites were being excavated, including Adichanallur, Malyadu Pire, and here too, and Shivagalai. Here also there are range of sites, dates that have come up. There's another site which was excavated in 2023, Kilana Mandi, Kilna Mandi, pardon my pronunciation. This site also yielded burials, and the date sort of goes between 1760 to 1650. The mean value is 1692. It's also published data. The paper has been published on this. Now, talking about the site which I spoke 2 years ago, I've published a column. I written a column on this about whether or not, if at all, we believe in early age. How does that impact our understanding of Iron Age in India? And I spoke about Malhar as well in that particular column. You can check that out. In Mayiladumparai, the site is interesting because it gives a very long cultural sequence, which means it has microliths, it had Neolithic, not just stone tools, but also there are rock paintings. There are also Neolithic stone. You polishing grooves. So near the stone polishing groove, they have taken a trench in locality 4, where they have found black and red ware pottery along with iron object. Here at 120 centimeter, they have taken sample. That sample is dated to 1615. The sample taken little 20 centimeter below that at 140, giving a date of 2172 BCE. Now, Adi Chanalur also, I've written a column on Adi Chanalur as well, to give a bit of, if you want to know a bit of archaeological context, is one of the largest Iron Age burial sites. It also has habitation as well. Here, the excavation was conducted both by ASI and state archaeology in 21 to 22, 23. The samples taken from here sort of goes to about 2060 BCE, that is 4010 BP. So here also the date is going touching about the last or end of third millennium BCE or beginning of first millennium BCE. Now, coming to Shivagalai, this is where you have a range of date, not series of dates, but you have multiple dates which are thousands of years apart. But it's interesting because this is one of the largest sites. Again, very potential site. These dates, these evidence that are mentioned in the report does tell us about the potentiality of this site. There are 8 localities at Shivagalai, in which there are 3 burial sites, and rest 5 are habitational localities. At habitational area, 1 trench was taken at habitation. In that trench, a sample was dated, AMS date, and this where the sample is taken, there's also an inscribed portrait with Tamil Brahmi. Here, that sample is dated to 685. So that sample is sort of dated to 685. That is about 5th century BCE. So you can see that this is the sample from the habitation date. Now, the earliest data coming from the burial site, which are the 3 burial site, out of it, 1 locality was excavated where 24 trenches were taken. In this 24 trenches, 160 urn burials were found, and 9 were urn burials made of BRW. The other were made of 151 was made of red ware. According to the investigators and the report, there is a chronological difference between the urn burials, which are BRW urn, and also the redware urn. According to the investigators, the redware urns are earlier in time frame and chronology than the BRW. So, that is a interesting piece of evidence as well, because most of the urns, if they are redware and they're 151 redware, so that will be little chronologically little earlier. Now, interestingly, here in trench A2, there are 3 urns which were found, urn number 1 to 3. Now, both number 1 and 3 are very interesting for me personally, because the kind of dates coming from these two are very fascinating, and I'll tell you why. In urn number 3, which is placed at the center of the trench, according to the report, it was an intact urn with a lid on it. So there was no soil percolated inside because the lid was intact. Inside the urn, there were skeletal remains along with iron objects and paddy grains. One of the grain from what was procured from inside the urn was dated. This date was about 1155 BCE, right? Then the rest of the dates, which are so there are total of 5 dates. So one is of habitation, which is 685. The other is from urn number 3, which is 1155. Now the rest of the 3 dates are early dates. They are coming from the same trench A2, urn number 1. The dates range from 2935 to 3345 BCE. Now, these three dates are the earliest date, which is quite interesting. However, so far we don't know what was the situation of the burial. There is a picture of the urn which is given there, and we don't know. Unlike the urn number three, we don't know exactly what whether it was contaminated or not, whether it was found intact or not, and what sort of object was found with the urn. We don't know that yet. But the three dates are coming very early on, and that's the only statement. So the report says that the other three dates falling between 2953 and 3345 BCE yielding iron objects. That's all about it. Moving on in the report, they also talk about samples taken from urn number 5, and the samples again are ranging between 1836 to 2450. Here, interestingly, they have if they take if they remove the error value of 363 years to 308 years, it's sort of again falling into 2200 BCE mark. What is interesting is that the AMS date and the OSL date taken from this particular trench goes with the urn number three's dates, which are 1284 to 1155. At the end of the report, the investigators do say that it's just a beginning. There is going to be more work on it, more work it's needed. So what I'm trying to say that I would echo what Dr. Rakesh Tiwari has also commented in the report. In the beginning of the report, there are comments given by various scholars. He who has excavated Malhar and other sites associated with it said that 20 years ago he said the same thing. Now we are finally moving towards that direction. It takes time. These are in archaeology, these things take time. So at least we can safely place Iron Age to mid to late third millennium BCE. In regards to Shivagalai's early date, which are fascinating, they open up a Pandora's box of full of questions and research questions, not just any random questions, research questions which need to be investigated in field. We need There has to be more. I'm sure that as we speak, there's going to be more reports published on this. More data will be published on this, and I'm waiting for that. But for now, what is interesting to understand is if we are placing Iron Age at third millennium BCE, if we safely assume that's third millennium BCE, we need to understand how what was the interaction of people using iron and people using Bronze Age. I would like to also echo what DK Chakrabarti has also said in his comment, which is very fascinating, that these early dates and findings from Tamil Nadu will actually maybe push a lot of us archaeologists who are working in northern context, in Harappan context, to look beyond what we thought is a set narrative, to look at the evidence that we usually ignore or discard. Like, for instance, at Lothal, there is iron was reported at Lothal, but it was not taken into consideration. There was a in small number, a small artifact perhaps, but usually we do not take it into consideration. And in fact, at Ahar, which is a Chalcolithic site in Rajasthan, also iron object was found, but nothing was done regarding it, because research takes time to build up a story, and we've come a long way, and this work which has been reported shows that we have come a long way in our understanding. What is interesting and what is very welcoming is that an unknown facet of our history has been uncovered. An area which has largely been ignored or shadowed by Harappan archaeology is now coming up with new evidence and new research questions, which is very interesting. We will have to understand as to why iron is very early in not just Tamil Nadu. I just want to point it out there. There are sites spread across. So Iron Age in southern India is very predominant, as copper and Bronze Age is very predominant in north and northwest. Um, we need to understand why is that, and the only thing that makes sense is the resources that are available to it, around it, which makes it more economical for iron, and also economical for people who are using bronze or copper. So resources are one thing. Our landscape shapes us. Our culture is nothing but learned behavior, and our material remains sort of are reflective of that learning, and so that learning is resonated in material remains. So it's very much evident in this. There are questions as to how do we understand trade, how do we understand exchange within the Iron Age, a society within the Iron Age cultural milieu. An important question is that when the habitation at Shivagalai is dated to 685 and the earliest date is 3300, it sort of gives us a bracket of 2000 years. There's a 2000 years in between. So if let us just assume if there's a continuation for habitation for 2000 years, did the culture change? Because 2000 years practices would also change, burial practice, cultural practice. In 2000 years, a lot of changes even are seen noted in Harappan context. So sort of similar academic archaeological investigation needs to be done in order to sort of fill the gap. So far it just dates, and the report rightly said it's a radiometric dates that they are publishing. They're not giving other contextual data, but for that I'm sure it will be coming out soon. So far we can safely say that whatever date you want to believe in at the earliest date, or you want to believe the date which is mid third century, third millennium BCE. Iron Age in India today is earliest globally, which is a turning point, is a significant point in Indian history, Indian archaeology. And with that note, I will like to thank you all for listening. If you stayed with me till the end, it's an elaborate video this time, and it needed to be an elaborate video. Hope you liked it. Share this video if you like it. Please press the like button, subscribe to our Print YouTube channel, and also follow Print on various social media platform. And we will be back with a similar interesting story from the world of archaeology in our country. Till then, thank you so much and have a nice weekend.